EA has proven time and again that they are incredibly adept at making money. Yet, with all their financial wisdom, their iconic franchises and studios keep struggling, being shut down one after another. Is it just bad luck, or does EA intentionally butchers the gaming industry? I am the games guru, let's uncover the truth. EA began its journey in 1982 with a visionary mission of putting game developers in the spotlight, treating them like rock stars and allowing them the freedom to create. But as the company grew, so did its focus on profit, slowly morphing into a corporate juggernaut. What started as a nurturing environment for game development became a machine that prioritized assembly line production over creative innovation. EA went on the acquisition spree, targeting promising studios, absorbing them with high hopes, but ultimately leaving behind a bloody trail of broken dreams and expectations. Their first victim was Origin Systems. Founded by Richard Garriott in 1983, Origin had quickly gained legendary status for their Ultima series and the Wing Commander franchise. Origin's hallmark was immersive RPGs with complex narratives, which revolutionized gaming. However, when EA acquired the studio in 1992, things quickly began to deteriorate. EA constantly pushed Origin to unhealthy deadlines to meet projections and please shareholders. Their titles were rushed to market, which caused them to lose depth and complexity that their audience enjoyed. For a while, fans tolerated buggy and uninspired games, but with the release of Ultima 9 and Wing Commander Prophecy, all trust was gone, resulting in underwhelming sales. The creative vision that once defined Origin was crushed, and in 2004, Electronic Arts shut the studio down, marking the beginning of a pattern. Next in EA's kill list was WestWood Studios, the undisputed masters of the RTS genre. WestWood created the Command and Conquer series, which set the gold standard for real-time strategy games. EA, smelling an opportunity, acquired WestWood in 1998. Initially, the studio continued to shine, but soon corporate interference began to take its toll. EA demanded annual releases and safer, more predictable designs. Their final game was Command & Conquer: Renegade, which flopped in 2002, and in the next 2003, WestWood was dissolved, ending one of the most influential RTS developers in history. While Origin and WestWood were early casualties, their fate wasn't nearly as heartbreaking as it was for Dreamworks Interactive, later renamed into Danger Close. The studio was founded by Steven Spielberg in 1995 in an ambitious attempt to create narrative-driven games that could rival Hollywood blockbusters. One of their early successes was the original Medal of Honor in 1999, a shooter that revolutionized the genre with its authenticity and emotionally driven gameplay. Due to financial difficulties, Spielberg decided to sell the studio to EA in 2000, who slowly started running the Medal of Honor franchise into the ground by churning out safe, predictable releases with minor improvements. Until 2010, when EA decided to shift Medal of Honor into the modern warfare setting to compete with Call of Duty. While the reboot sold well enough, it was clear that EA's corporate influence had started to take its toll. The game felt like a pale imitation of Call of Duty, and the creative spark that had once defined the franchise was gone. But that wasn't the end of the line for Danger Close. Things only got worse with the release of Medal of Honor Warfighter in 2012, a game that was universally panned for its uninspired design, technical issues, and bland storytelling. And the worst part of it was that EA didn't believe in Warfighter at all. They thought that it would be pointless to lead two military shooters at once, and decided to focus on Battlefield instead, turning Medal of Honor into an easy money grab. And after the disastrous release of Warfighter, Danger Close was effectively shut down, marking the end of the Medal of Honor series and yet another casualty of EA's corporate meddling. Other studios touched by EA's hand suffered similar fates. PopCap Games, the creators of casual hits like Plants vs. Zombies, were purchased in 2011. Initially they flourished, But EA's push toward mobile monetization and freemium models slowly sapped the soul from their projects. Similarly, Criterion Games, developers of the Burnout series, were tasked with reviving the Need for Speed series. Though Criterion delivered a few solid games, the studio's creative voice was stifled by EA's insistence on annual releases and microtransactions. Still, no studio's fall illustrates EA's suffocating business practices better than that of BioWare. Founded in 1995 by Ray Muzaika and Greg Zeshuk, two medical doctors with a passion for storytelling, BioWare built its name on rich narratives and emotionally powerful games like Baldur's Gate, Knights of the Old Republic, and Mass Effect. When EA acquired BioWare in 2007, it seemed like a match made in heaven. EA would provide the financial muscle, and BioWare would continue crafting legendary RPGs. But slowly, the cracks started to show. Mass Effect 3, with its controversial ending, was the first major sign of EA's influence. Then came Mass Effect Andromeda in 2017, a game that wasn't just a technical disaster, but a creative letdown. But the biggest nail in BioWare's coffin was Anthem, EA's attempt to compete with Destiny in the live service game market. Anthem was pushed out the door unfinished, with its convoluted development process and last-minute design changes, leaving players with a half-baked game that failed to live up to BioWare's legacy. Today, BioWare is a shadow of its former self. They are currently working on Dragon Age Veilguard, and many believe this game represents BioWare's last chance at redemption. If Veilguard fails, it could very well be the final nail in the coffin for one of the most storied developers in gaming history. The pressure is immense, and all eyes are on EA to see if they will give BioWare the creative freedom they need to succeed, or if they will repeat the same mistakes. Visceral Games is another tragic example of EA's poor decision-making. Originally known as EA Redwood Shores, Visceral gained widespread acclaim for the Dead Space series, which delivered a terrifyingly atmospheric survival horror experience. The first two games were hailed as masterpieces, with visceral combat and nerve-shattering suspense making them fan favorites. But by the time Dead Space 3 rolled around, EA couldn't resist pushing microtransactions and multiplayer into the game. While still a decent game, it lacked the edge that made its predecessors so beloved. EA's meddling diluted the horror experience, and sales suffered as a result. Visceral's fate was sealed when they began work on an ambitious Star Wars project helmed by Amy Hennig, a former Naughty Dog director known for her work on the Uncharted series. The project was rumored to be a single-player, narrative-driven experience, which seemed like a perfect match for Visceral's strengths. But EA, with its eye on the burgeoning live service model, wanted something that could be monetized through multiplayer modes and ongoing updates. When the Star Wars project didn't fit EA's vision, the entire studio was shut down in 2017. The dreams of a Dead Space revival and the highly anticipated Star Wars game died alongside the studio, leaving fans mourning what could have been. But if there's one studio whose fall from grace stands as a testament to all of EA's worst practices, it is DICE, the crown jewel in EA's acquisitions collection. Founded in 1992 in Sweden, DICE was responsible for pioneering the Battlefield franchise. Known for its breathtaking destructible environments, cinematic gameplay, and the chaos of massive online battles, Battlefield became a juggernaut in the world of first-person shooters. And it wasn't just a game, it was a cultural phenomenon. And yet, despite the studio's talent and success, DICE's battle for survival in recent years has become a harrowing tale of mismanagement, unrealistic expectations, and the sheer destructive force of EA's corporate machine. Battlefield 2042 was supposed to be DICE's triumphant return to the top, a celebration of everything the studio had accomplished in multiplayer combat. But what it turned out to be was a disaster so severe that it combined every failure EA had overseen with its previous studios. EA promised that Battlefield 2042 would be the most ambitious entry in the franchise's history, but behind the scenes, DICE was facing unbelievable pressure. The development cycle was brutally rushed to meet EA's financial deadlines, and instead of focusing on the hallmarks of the series, teamwork, strategy, and destruction, the focus shifted toward a live service, battle royale-inspired model that no one had asked for. The studio was tasked with creating a game that ticked all the boxes for monetization potential, Fortnite-style operators, in-game purchases, and the promise of long-term service updates. Meanwhile, the core gameplay that made Battlefield beloved by millions was left in the dust. When the game launched in 2021, it was barely functional. Battlefield 2042 was filled with bugs, missing features, and a shocking lack of basic quality. Iconic series elements like the class system were scrapped in favor of individual specialists. Maps were barren, hit detection was broken, and the server stability was a nightmare. It was clear that the game had been rushed out the door, not because it was ready, but because EA had a release window to hit. The game's initial reviews were abysmal, and players fled the game en masse. What was meant to be DICE's glorious comeback turned into a flop so severe that it put the entire future of the Battlefield franchise into question. As it stands, DICE remains operational, but the pressure on the studio is immense. Will they be able to recover from the disaster of 2042? Can they restore the trust of their once loyal fanbase? Only time will tell, but the future of the Battlefield series now hangs in the balance. What's certain is that EA's relentless pursuit of short-term profit over long-term quality has nearly destroyed one of the most iconic names in gaming. EA's history is a tale of brilliance overshadowed by corporate missteps. While the company has excelled in maximizing profits, its relentless pursuit of revenue has come at the cost of creativity and innovation. The studios it once acquired and nurtured were often pushed to the breaking point, leaving behind a trail of failed franchises and disappointed fans. But if you want to learn more about EA's iconic franchises, check my documentary on Medal of Honor, which started off as an industry-defining shooter but suffocated under EA's unjust management. Thank you all for tuning in. I am the Games Guru, loves to all, and I see you in the next video. Bye bye.